who haven't met me, this is Melissa Gonzalez in real life, and this is my AI avatar version if I was a superhero. I am a shareholder and principal at MG2 and also the founder of the Lionesque Group. We were a retail strategy and experiential design firm that was acquired by MG2 at the end of 2019. At MG2, we are a global strategy design architecture firm. We have offices across the country and in Shanghai. We're nationally licensed architects and have a strong commitment to sustainability. Within our organization, I say that we touch a wide spectrum of physical environments. I'm one of the principals that leads consumer experiences, and I have two of my colleagues here in the audience today as well. In consumer experiences, we really focus on retail FB&E, so with clients like Victoria's Secret, Nordstrom, Kizik, Brilliant Earth. And then in community environments, we touch upon hospitality environments, mixed and high-rise residential, mall development, and then in client programs, we are architect kind of globally for clients like Costco. So you can see the spectrum. We have 3 different lenses across physical environments and one interdisciplinary approach that I think puts us in a unique position. But I want to start our today's conversation as we talk about transforming the possibilities of store design and consumer experiences when it comes to AI by asking you a few more questions than what Jason asked today. So if the answer is yes, I want you to raise your hand, and I'm just going to ask a bunch of questions. How many people in this audience use Alexa or Siri or Google when they have questions? Pretty much everybody. How many of you use Order Ahead? For anything, it could be Starbucks, but not as many. Okay. How many of you use Clear at the airport? How many of you use your eyes to unlock your phone? How many of you use a digital key when you want to check into your hotel? Mixed spectrum. How many of you have a smartwatch where you track your health and your fitness? Okay. And how many of you have smart homes where you have digital locks and you have water sensors? Okay, now think about everything you said yes to. And then think about your life 3 years ago. How many of those things would you have said yes to? Not that many, probably. But I think it's exemplary of how much our lives as individuals continues to evolve. And all of that is signifying the opportunity that AI is having in our life and reshaping how we live our life and the conveniences in our life. And we, as youthful and beautiful as we look, we are not even representing the alpha generation. Right? The ones behind us where, for them, access to information is at their fingertips. My little clicker's not working. As access at their fingertips at all times. So if Alexa doesn't answer them, they're going to ask Google. And if Google doesn't answer, they're going to ask Siri. For them, this is how the world is. It's not novel. It's just the way they live their lives. And they are creators themselves already as infants in Roblox, in YouTube. Whatever they imagine in their mind, they can bring it to fruition. And we don't even know the kind of education they're going to have in the future when they get to college and the careers that they're going to have. If you look on the RISD website today and look at their curriculum, they already have classes when it comes to design and AI as part of their curriculum. And then that doesn't even count for the generation that hasn't even been born yet, the beta generation, which is probably the first generation that's going to be AI fluent, and the careers that they're going to have and what their development looks like. We haven't even touched upon that yet. So I want you to think about that and marinate on it as we think about not just as brands and retailers and designers and architects, but as humans living our everyday life and evolving at rapid speeds. What is going to be the opportunity in AI and how we create and how we live our lives? And we're sitting in the 21st century where the prediction is it's going to be 1,000 times more technological advancement than the century before us, when electricity, right, if we think about the magnitude, was invented. So think about it, marinate on it, as we talk for a few more minutes about the opportunities of AI in retail. When we look at AI today, it's already having its impact across the customer journey, across different touch points, from pre-purchase to post-purchase, whether it's that behind-the-scenes logic, product design and planning and allocation, just-in-time fulfillment, or it's that front-of-the-house magic that we see as consumers today with smart mirrors and voice ordering and visual search, community engagement. So between what we're seeing in retail, with the brands and retailers pushing that forward and how we're living our lives, new expectations are being formed, right? And it's elevating where we have to deliver. So I'm going to do a quick kind of benchmarking tour of some of the things that some of the brands that we might have engaged with are doing today. This is Martini and their Unbottling Martini campaign. So they collaborated with Midjourney, which is an AI tool many of you might be familiar with. And they gave it inputs about the ingredients in the drinks. And then the outputs was this really fun engagement with visuals that showed this is how these different ingredients might make you feel. It kind of gave some simulations with that. Then most of you probably saw when Tiffany and Nike did this collaborations and the internet went crazy. And it wasn't through what the brands created, it was all user-generated content of individuals jumping into Midjourney saying, I think those sneakers are okay, but I think you could actually have designed them to be way cooler. And this has flooded the internet. Some of the designs were better than others, but it shows the possibilities, not just what brands do, but as consumers, how we're becoming co-creators as well. This is Cause, which is part of H&M Group. If you go into their fitting rooms, they rolled this out in Europe and in the US it's coming. Smart mirrors where it can detect what you're bringing into the dressing room and then it can make outfit recommendations for you. Many of you are probably familiar with Sephora and Color IQ, where it taps a database of different skin colors and it makes associations of recommendations for you on a more personalized level. Uniqlo with UMood. So this is a kiosk that they developed in Sydney, Australia. You sit in, you put a headset on. Through neural technology, it senses the brain waves and the mood that you're in. It detects what they're sensing, and then it makes recommendations of what shirt they think would be perfect for you. Pizza Hut in India. You go in, it's your mood, your pizza. Through facial cues, it detects what kind of pizza it thinks that you should eat. Kind of curious what I'd get late night if I went to a pizza shop. But, and then Kroger with Edge technology. So they have smart pricing that happens at the shelf. But if you opt in for it as well through Bluetooth technology, it'll sense the items you have in your Kroger app. And then you'll see dynamic pricing changes happening at the shelf based on what you're interested in. And then you have things like robots and Lowe's. I mean, how many times have you walked through a big box retailer wishing you had somebody to help you? This robot speaks 10 different languages and can help guide your experience around the Lowe's department store. Homer and Alex, where it could get inputs where it just kind of scans information about products and then it creates an Amazon listing. And then last but not least, you have conversational commerce with Walmart, which isn't too dissimilar from Alexa, where it can connect to your speakers and you can have a conversation of what you want to add to your shopping list. And this is just a handful of examples of the way in which AI in very different ways is powering the experiences that we're having with brands and retailers. So today, a lot of the things that we're familiar with is more traditional AI, where there's a very specific task, right? The program is designed to have a very specific task with very specific precision to give you an output, and then that task is retrained. But what we're seeing today in examples like with Martini and with Nike, Tiffany, and with Homer and Alexa with ChatGPT, this is generative AI, which goes to a deeper level, where this is machine learning and it's trained through foundational models that have vast amounts of information. And then the tool can go in and detect patterns and similarities within all of that information, and then it generates new content. And that could be text, and it could be audio, it could be visual, it could be new simulations, it could be imagery. And this is bringing us to new possibilities than we've seen before when it comes to the opportunity of AI. And we're just really beginning to scratch the surface of it. So many of you might have some familiarities with some of these tools. Anybody in the audience use DALL-E or Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, ChatGPT? And the thing is about this is that it's only as good as the input we give it, right? I asked ChatGPT to make some jokes about the retail audience that we have today. And you can kind of see they're subpar, they're okay. Why did the shopping cart go to therapy? But this is just giving you an example of you give some prompts, it could give us some outputs back. But we're sitting at a time where we're exploring, well, what really are the possibilities of this? Is it gimmicky? Is it going to be good quality? What does this mean to the changing face of the design profession and the processes and the tools? So at MG2, I've been leading a proof of concepts group where I'm collaborating with leaders across the organization, design leaders across all those verticals that I mentioned, and consumer experiences and community environments and client programs. And we're working in collaboration with our IT team. And we're exploring the possibilities here. And we're testing different tools and different use cases. And as each of the groups comes to report back, they're answering questions like, did I get an output that I wouldn't have thought about on my own creatively? Did I get to it faster? Was it quality? Was it quality I would actually show a client? Should this be part of our rhythm of business and our design process? Is this something we should roll out firm-wide? And to be honest, we don't really have answers to any of those questions yet, except for that we're seeing progress in the explorations that we're making. So I'll show you some of those examples. This year, Dezeen partnered with Bentley. Most of you are familiar with Bentley, high-end luxury car, and the brand is exploring what could this mean to physical retail if we created physical retail experiences with the Bentley ethos. And we debated, the team debated, I don't know if it's okay if we use AI. Should we really submit to the contest using AI outputs? And I'll tell you this, every single award winner, they picked 3, and finalists, every single one of them used AI. So it showed us, okay, we can't ignore this, right? But again, as I mentioned, the outputs is only as good as the input. And so as designers and architects, we really still have to take the time to take the exploration and understand what is the ethos of Bentley? What does that look and feel like? How do I direct the tool to get me outputs that are good enough to use for clients? And so I'm going to just read one of the inputs that was given here so you could see a design brief still has to be written. And while these aren't necessarily perfect in every way, I think they're pretty inspirational. And these are outputs that came from the Midjourney tool. So if you look at the one with the biggest vertical one in here, this was a large concept floor plan in a design innovation lab with material samples and sketches on the wall, realistic natural light flooding in, architecture with graceful curves and subtle diamond patterns, central platform showcase of the Bentley car and display with integrated sleek modern Bentley furniture stylized throughout the lounge. It's still a story, it's still a narrative, but this is the output that we got to work with. And we're testing it again, as I mentioned, across environments and across different use cases. This is one where we took an exploration of a footwear design store. And this actually was a collaborative one, so it wasn't just coming from Midjourney. Midjourney was just one of the tools. There was hand sketching, there was Midjourney, there was Adobe Firefly being used, and there was SketchUp. And that was all integrated in how SketchUp evolved and the layers that were created. And so this is a collaborative effort, but utilizing AI, it did push the boundaries of some of the imagination that happened in different touch points throughout the design. So for example, if you could see the curvature of the seat that kind of emulates a cloud, you could see the ceiling texture and the way that kind of thinks of endless possibilities, bringing in natural light and gradients. The merchandising display, which is a mix between human imagination and some AI with different layers and plexi materials on top of it, and then the back wall extension. So this was a good test in seeing how can we work collaboratively with human creativity and machine learning. We're also testing it through materiality. Sometimes you're designing, you just can't find that perfect material that you want to bring in. It doesn't mean all of these are going to be replicatable, but guess what? When you hand sketch, neither is it replicatable, right? But it helps you think through from an imagination standpoint. So the first is a chunky basket weave gold leather. Then we have cracked walnut wood with a silver wash paint, and then board formed with concrete and silver paint. And so as we think with our interiors team, it gives us some opportunities to kind of show something that's a little more inspirational. We've done the same thing when we've been working with clients who we want to push the boundaries of what could renderings that we want them to look a little bit more photorealistic and actual photograph look like. So this was testing rendering tools. And can we take it a step further by using AI to push the boundaries with tools like Veris? And so it could look a little bit more photorealistic than we see today. And then these tools aren't limited to what happens on the interiors. We also test what happens if we want to imagine new environments from an exterior standpoint, and what is the possibility of architecture. And we can think about things like curvature and maybe how we think through, how environments can be created. And then when we take it a step further, we also think about the opportunity with tools like test fit, where we're thinking about things that are possible from a test fit standpoint. And so in this tool, you still build the mass up front in Revit, but then you give parameters to the tool. And you say, what if I want to have more 3-bedroom apartments? What if I want to have an environment where I'm getting more sunlight, or where I'm getting different wind flow? And then maybe I want to tier it and say, okay, give me 5 variations, and then what has the best based on the top level criteria in the hierarchy of needs and what has the least. We still have to be the humans up front that create that mass for it to learn from, and we still have to be the humans up front that give it the inputs to riff on. But think about the amount of time we save by letting the tool do that. And so with the opportunities I'm showing here, we're just scratching the surface, but from concept design to quality control to layouts and test fits, to renderings, there's all sorts of possibilities of how AI can support our efforts when it comes to design and architecture. So today we're really just, again, scratching the surface, but I asked the questions I asked up front so you can understand that isn't novel that AI is being integrated into our lives. It's already happening. The way we live our lives as individuals, the way that we're intersecting with brands and retailers, and it's reshaping our expectations of what's possible, and it's reshaping those expectations of the consumers that we're designing for. And so it's upon us to understand what is the possibilities of these tools. Today, we have traditional AI transforming into generative AI, and eventually, we're going to start thinking about what people call AGI, artificial general intelligence, where all of this really starts to come together in a more powerful way. I like to call it augmented general intelligence because it is impossible without the human. The human is the one that's guiding what the possibilities could be. But as all of it comes together, and I showed the really beautiful outputs and pictures that you get from Midjourney, it's not just about creating beautiful designs, right, from a materiality standpoint, but it's going to be the opportunity to bring all of this together. Because through AI, we have an obligation ahead of us of how are we going to create more personalized shopping experiences, right? And eventually, maybe store layouts that are much more adaptive in a faster way. And we're going to have the opportunity to do that because through the integration of technology, we are always learning. And these machines that we're partnering with, machine learning, neural networks, all of that, it's building, data is building upon data, giving us opportunities to make smarter environments. So if we embrace today being able to learn what the possibilities are, then we start to see how all of these come together so that we can create environments that are beautiful, but they're also functioning in a deeper way. And they're being able to deliver upon more cognitive reasoning and creativity. And you have shopping experiences that are more deeply personal on these consumer desires. And we're understanding the opportunities of mixed media technologies that are merging more and more with our worlds, right? Somebody could be coming to your store, standing in your store, interacting with augmented reality or virtual reality, but still wanting a tactile experience and purchasing in-store while they're discovering online. And all of that is blending more and more together. And then in these smart store layouts, as I mentioned, we can account maybe for foot traffic patterns and customer preferences and real-time changes in that. And what does that mean for the opportunities for us to create more adaptable environments? And then immersive shopping experiences. That desire is only getting greater and greater as people are blending the physical, digital, and like I mentioned, the generations behind us, who none of these things are novel for. It's just all of their expectations. And then we can't forget about the opportunity of emotional intelligence that's going to have to sit on top of all of it. And that's where that relationship of the pilot, us the humans, and the co-pilot, the machine, really starts to come together. Because I was walking to the conference today, to this room, and I was seeing all the beautiful environment around me, and the mountains, and the sunrise, and the palm trees, and I thought, Midjourney probably could spit this environment out. But what it would be void of is understanding the emotional neural responses that I'm having as a human being and the potential of that, of creating an emotional connection between ourselves and the brands that we're working for or designing for. So as I leave you today, while the title of today's presentation is Transforming the Possibilities of Store Design and Consumer Experiences, what I think we really need to embrace when we think about AI is the opportunity of elevating human potential as professionals in this industry. Thank you.